Hey, it's Rich Vision. I just wanted to talk about my experience at the Rainbow Book Fair. As you may or may not know, I was actually a book vendor at the Rainbow Book Fair in West Village over the weekend, and I had an amazing time. I was just taken aback because I personally felt very liberated to be there. I personally went there to obviously sell my book, but also to be around queer folks like myself. And for a while I used to just be in a sense uncertain about my sexuality, so I stood a little bit further away from that circle because I didn't want people to judge me. And when I got there, it was just like I felt like very open, like open arms, like people were just very willing to embrace me. And I haven't felt like that in so long. Like usually when I'm performing, I get that, but like in a fair, it was just different because that was pretty much you know the people around there were queer. So it's just, I don't know, the energy was different. Like I didn't really feel like jealousy there or malice or anything like that. I just kind of felt very welcomed, and in a way that felt very inspiring for a lot of ways. And I personally felt very connected to the people there. Like I was sitting with other authors as well, and I was able to really dive deeper into more of a building a rapport with those people that were there versus just a shorter conversation. I was able to asked about them, what inspired their book, and it was just seeing them light up about their books. And another person was selling this queer game, and I'm just like, wow, it was just amazing to see all these things happening before me, of book exchanges and contact information exchanges. And I was giving out my cards and passing out my wristbands, and just having a good time. And it was cool because I was able to meet people, but this I just felt very myself. I didn't feel like I had to wear masks. I didn't feel like I had to be someone I wasn't. Like I came in hesitant because it was a new space. I didn't know how it was gonna be. It's actually my first time really being an official book vendor, so that was different for me. And so being able to just step out of my comfort zone and go to a different place that I've never been before and do something brand new. It was just exciting, and I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to be able to be a book vendor and be able to share parts and stories of my book, especially with people, new people that I don't even know, and be able to just have much of the courage to say, okay, this book came from mental abuse and what I've went through the past, several years during the pandemic. And so it was just, them being shocked that this happened. And and it was something that I could just proudly share, because I could just say, okay, this is where I've been, before, but this is doesn't just define me and who I am as a person now and who I'm becoming. So being able to share that in a way that would get people to understand, like, okay, this is not something that is going to keep me from pursuing a future. And so it was just inspiring to share that with them. And the whole thing was just beautiful. It was like a 5-6 hour event. We had after the event was done, there were it was a little ceremony with wine and this and food after, which was cool to connect after the book fair and vending for all those hours, to be able to just really debrief and interact with people. And it was just like to get to know people more, and it was just inspiring. I really felt very inspired by the people there, and just them just being their authentic selves. And people were hugging me, and it was just and giving me like like this warm embrace. And that's something that I felt with this book fair. Like it just was, it exceeded my expectations, if I had any. And it was just, I just want to thank you, all of those people who have put time and effort and resources and money behind this book fair, because it wasn't just a regular book fair. Like, I don't want to speak. My sister was saying things earlier today and how she felt like, yeah, this is the place to be. Like, she felt like it was a place for that I belong there. And so for her to say that, as someone who just walked in, just kind of just supporting me, it was just wow to be able to share, the same sentiment with her, of like a sense of belonging and acceptance from people, as like, this is who I am. And I've been through a lot with suppressing my sexuality, and even sharing that with people, and how that has become such a, testimony for me, has been very cathartic for me and liberating, to be able to point out those things that once were roadblocks for me and hardships, and now I can say, those are, and stepping stones now, in the sense that I was able to, carve out a path for myself, so to speak, in a way that is moving towards enlightenment and healing and growth. And I'm always on my personal development journey. So this fair meant a lot, to be able to, again, not sell books, but just connect more with people in the community. And I have picked up a couple of books, and I supported myself, and I got it as an author, especially a new author. It's difficult for me, to sell, a bunch of books. I ended up bringing, 25 books, because that's what they told me to bring, and I ended up having to bring most of them back. But you know what? I bought my duffel bag full, and I ended up, I was like, I wish I didn't have to carry them, but it was just like the principle of just like, yeah, I'm doing it. And you know, I'm putting in the effort to, yeah, to get better at this, promotion, right? Promoting myself, and being able to share my story in a way that gets people to understand, where I've been, what I've been through, and in hopes that they would, in a sense, be enlightened to the point of wanting to, support in a certain way. And yeah, I just, I just can't, say think highly of, like, I think so highly of that venue. And just, how, they had poetry readings there, they had things going on. I was kind of like in, in my corner, and selling my book. And I was like, I didn't want to leave, my station, because I didn't, just in case somebody wanted to buy a book and I wasn't there. I was like, oh. But yeah, I just loved the whole setup, how it was. And it was just an amazing experience. If you have an opportunity to vend, excuse me, at that place, at Rainbow Book Fair, definitely consider it. I'm definitely gonna start one a vendor next year as well, and continue to talk about my book, and share and enlighten people and promote my book as well. But just what they're doing in the community is just very, and I think it's like their 14th year doing it, and this is like my first. And so just to see it firsthand, and how, enlightened, and the reactions on people's faces when, when they came in, it was just like some warm and very, again, welcoming and inviting, in a way that I don't really see these things, in certain places. And so, for especially a book fair, and so to have, people, a place for queer people, that just meant a lot to me. Because again, I struggle with my sexuality and suppressing it, and so having a space that's open to the queer community was something that I felt like I needed, for a while. And so being able to be here and vendor at this place, it just really gave me a open door to just be, able to be open and receptive of those people around me who are queer and are living their lives in a sense out loud. I would assume, and so it gave me in a sense permission to be like, okay, this is who I am. And I had my my rainbow my tie dye shirt, and I had my rainbow bottle. So I was like repping it. But I just, yeah, it was cool. It was cool to just experience that, and I just wanted to share that because I think it's important to share, for me to share my experiences with certain things and my take on things, because I think it's very important for me to just be able to verbalize some things that I was ashamed of and fearful of at one point in my life, and it's come full circle now, and it's just amazing to see the growth of myself and going to different places and being able to just say, okay, I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna go for it. And so yeah, I made good connections, and I'm still following up with those same people that I spoke to. Even I met a cop there. He was super cool, and two cops were there, male, female, and they were just seem enlightened to hear my story, and they ended up connecting. One of the male cops ended up connecting me to another queer space to try to promote help me promote my book, and he introduced me via email to other places, and it was just like, I'm just like, wow, like giving me resources. I'm just like, whoa. It's just, it just felt like people were willing to help me, and there was another person that was there who was like, okay, I have this going on, you know I'll send you this, DM this person, they do queer stuff too that you could be a part of. And I'm just like, what? And that was like two people that literally don't know me from a hole in the wall, willing to just help me with extra resources to promote myself and put myself out there more. And so yeah, like it was just really good energy, good vibes all the way. And I just felt really, really, again, accepted for who I am. And I think that's the biggest part of the Rainbow Book Fair that I really wanted to share, was the whole acceptance piece of like, come as you are. And that's how I felt there. And the person Sarah, I was going back and forth with her in email, and she was just warm energy, and it was so nice to meet her and all the other people, Daryl, involved in this, and all the other people who have been really, really, a staple in being able to just continue this train running, so to speak, with this book fair. And I know next year is going to be even bigger and better. um I'm going to definitely be there next year to promote my book as well. But it was just an awesome experience for me, and it's just, yeah, I'm excited to share that with you, because I just wanted to, yeah, be open and transparent about some of the stuff that I've learned over the weekend, which is like, be who I am and don't sugarcoat that for anyone. And so it just, yeah, gave me in a sense permission to just be myself and just act flirty if I want to, or XYZ. Like, it was just one of those things that it's just like, I don't know, I could just be myself there, and it was just cool to know that I'm not judged um for it and things like that. So if you yeah, if you want more information about the book fair, DM me, hit me up, and I definitely will give you information. Rainbow Book Fair was awesome. Thank you so much for your hospitality, and just being able to share. This was very enlightening for me, so I thank you again.